Okay, let's talk about changing keys. This is really easy to do. So I've got it set up right now. Again, since I'm not plugged into an actual system, I'm going to go ahead and route everything back to 1, 2 so that I can hear it. So let's go cues back to 1, 2, MIDI click back to 1, 2, time code we'll leave at 17 because we don't want to hear it. And then all my groups are to 1, 2. That way I can hear it. I'm not plugged into a system. I've only got left and right speakers, outputs 1 and 2, so I just send everything to 1, 2. That way we can hear what's going on. Okay, so we got Be Glad. Be Glad is originally in, well, we'll do All on Earth is in Heaven. I think Be Glad is already warped. So On Earth is in Heaven, it's originally in B flat. Let's say I want that song to go to C. Let's confirm that it's in B flat. On Earth, yeah, B flat. Okay. So On Earth is originally in B flat. We want it to go to C. That means that we need to move it up B flat, B, C. We need to move it up 2 half steps or 1 whole step. Ableton warps in half steps, so always be thinking that way. It helps to visualize a piano keyboard if you're not familiar with how the keys work. I literally sometimes will just, well, I played piano, so I always picture a piano in my head, but I'll send people pictures of piano keyboards so that they can just count the keys to go up or down. Helps a lot. So the first step is I need to select all of my tracks. So I'm going to, when I warp keys, I only warp melodic elements, okay? So I'm not going to warp drums because the drums, it doesn't matter what pitch they're at. And sometimes if you pitch them up too high or too low, they can start sounding really weird. So I'm going to leave the drums alone. The loop channel usually consists of drums. So let's solo it out and hear what it's doing. Just noises, right? So there's nothing in there that needs to be pitch shifted into a different key. It's all drum sounds. It's all, stuff like that. The bass and everything below it are melodic things that need to be pitched. So I'm going to select the bass and then hold shift and select the bottom track to select everything. So everything's now selected. Then I'm going to come here to the bottom right and click this little arrow to expand this menu, right? It's saying we've got 13 audio clips and 13 tracks that are selected. Good. So that means everything that I want to warp is selected. And to shift the key, I'm going to start by hitting the warp button. Warp means, hey, I'm going to change either the timing or the pitch of this thing, and I don't want you to stretch or compress the track. We need to make sure the track stays at the exact length that it's at right now. Then we got to choose an algorithm to warp to. There's beats, there's a couple different ones, but we're always going to use either Complex or Complex Pro. I'm going to favor Complex Pro. Sometimes the algorithm doesn't work too well, so I got to switch over to Complex, but it's pretty rare. If you hear anything that sounds out of key or weird, you can switch it over to Complex and it might work better, but by default, we're going to go to Complex Pro. So I'm selecting all my tracks, I'm hitting the warp button, and I'm selecting the Complex Pro algorithm, okay? All that stuff, what that does is it basically says, hey, I'm going to change the pitch, or I'm going to change the timing, whatever. Don't change the way the song sounds, right? Because if I didn't warp it, it would shrink the length of the track or expand the length of the track. I don't want that. It's very important that warp and the right algorithm is selected, okay? All right, so now we've got this pitch wheel. I'm going B flat to C, so I need to go up 2 semitones or 2 half steps. So I'm going to just click that, type 2, and hit enter. And that just spun that little wheel up to +2. Now, chorus 2, 3, 4, chorus 2, 3, 4. We're in C, and if I move that pitch wheel around, you'll hear it. Listen. You can go pretty high or pretty low, but basically you just want to go up 2 semitones, and now we're in C. So that's all there is to it. Select the tracks, hit warp, go to the Complex Pro algorithm, and then pitch it to whatever plus or minus semitone you want. I usually don't go a whole lot more. I mean, 6 semitones is the most you're going to need to warp. I don't like warping it that much. If you get anywhere above 4, maybe 5, it starts to sound kind of funny. It sounds a little like squealy or a bit like bassy and weird. So try to stay within a certain range of those keys if you really want the tracks to work well live. But yeah, that's the main piece of it. That's how we're going to warp things into the keys that we want to warp them into. So that's all there is to warping. It's pretty good. Now, you can use if you need to change the tempo of the song, you can actually do the same thing. Just warp it and then change the tempo of the pink track. So right now, we're at 118. Let's switch that over to 80. And then we need to make sure that we are leading.
Chorus, 2, 3, 4.
I didn't have the drums warped, so it didn't do those. But let's go ahead and do that. We'll warp the drums to Complex Pro, and now we can time the pink track. So that warping is really kind of cool. We don't change tempo a lot. It's just not a huge need for it. But yeah, that's how you do it. So warping's super powerful, but it's really easy to do. Ableton's super powerful in what it's able to do with all of that, with manipulating audio files and such. Next, we're going to talk about building songs. How do I get songs into this format right here, right? Because I can send you the set already built, but it doesn't really help you understand how I got it there. So we're going to talk about how I build a song individually, and then after I do that, we'll talk about how we put it all together in a set. So that'll be good.